Hello everybody. Today we're going to talk about what are called radioactive elements. Okay. Last time we saw how the Big Bang occurs, how the different things like space systems, what are black holes and things like that, and how you can go and get information about those things in the World Wide Web and things like that. So today we are going to see specifically about what are called radioactive elements. Okay. So when you think about radioactive elements, they are classified into two groups. One is called lanthanide series, another one is called actinide series. Okay. So lanthanide series is somewhat similar to some dark matter creation and things like that. Okay. Actinide series is something to do with photon emission. Okay. So these are the two types of elements that are present. Okay, they usually produce gamma rays, x-rays and things like that. Okay, so when you think of ordinary elements, okay, ordinary elements, hydrogen, helium and things like that, what do? They exchange electrons, they form what is called covalent bonds, electrovalent bonds and things like that. Okay, when you are going into high order elements, okay, what happens? Do they react? That is the basic question. Okay, they do react. Okay, what is the kind of reaction they have? Okay, they don't form bonds or any kind of links between the different things, but they change their nature. Okay, change the nature in the sense like uranium will be converted into some other form. Okay, like a polonium or like see here, uranium is converted to thorium. Okay, so the elemental conversion takes place only in high order elements. Okay, those are the basic things, and they give out low order elements like helium. Okay, so first thing, at a higher level, what happens? At higher dense, high pressure area, what happens? Uranium, those are the kinds of things which are created, and they give to lower elements like thorium, and small decay elements are called helium, and some of them give photons. Okay, so these are the x-rays, gamma rays and emissions and other kinds of emissions. Okay, so that is why you see the sun glowing, the stars glowing, or you see some kind of aura around black hole and things like that. Even if you go around black holes, you can see some of the radioactive ionized clouds and other things you can see. Okay, so what happens in sun is has so much of nuclear material, and it is going to create different things. It is going to create different kinds of lanthanides and actinides. Lanthanides are almost kind of like more stable kind of situation. Okay, actinides are the ones which are highly active. Okay, they do what is called a decay of element, that is breaking down of elements. Okay, uh, lanthanides, on the other hand, they do formation of elements. Formation of elements, they take extra things left out by the actinides and join them together to form high order elements. So these are the two things that happen. Lanthanides are the absorbers of nuclear energy, and actinides are the suppliers of nuclear energy. So the main two things that get involved in these kind of reactions are Tc and Pm. Okay, what is Tc? Tc is technetium and promethium. So these are the two things which are very kind of mediating between the different reactions. Okay, so these are the two things which you have as a kind of mediator for different kinds of reactions to occur in lanthanide and actinide series. So lanthanide series is usually kind of really calm kind of element where they are built using active elements. So active elements, when they break down, they create what is called a lower level elements, and they join to, so the fusion kind of thing happens in technetium and other kinds of lanthanide series, and fission kind of things happen what is called uranium, neptunium, plutonium, uranium and things like that. Okay, so that is as a thallium and palladium and things like that. Okay, so most of the things you have to know that just like ordinary chemical reactions, these things also have chemical reactions, but these chemical reactions are mostly as a kind of morphing technology kind of thing. Morphing is changing of the elements within themselves, okay, those kind of things, and living out, producing new kinds of elements, okay. So in ordinary chemical reaction like carbon and other things, you have what is called a link between hydrogen and oxygen, and those kind of things are bonding kind of environment where you have covalent bond, electrovalent bond, and things like that, okay. Those things don't happen in these kind of things. These are extremely highly active radioactive elements. Radio means they give radio waves, x-rays, gamma rays, and light, and those kind of things, okay. So they emit energy photons. They work through only energy photons. So that is the basic concept. They work only through energy transfer, okay. And this energy transfer helps in building all the things. Ordinary chemical reactions and other things, they work through ordinary photons and other things, okay. So electron transfer or electron bonds, and nuclear, they don't have any kind of nuclear bond or nothing, nuclear splitting, all those things. That is why they are called radioactive elements, okay. So when you have a huge star like thing and it is going to blast, some of the things are going to create black holes, and they are going to blast. Once they blast, they give out elements like highly radioactive elements. Some of them give highly radioactive elements, some of them produce lanthanide elements thrown out into the space, and some of them give hydrogen cloud also, okay. So these are the kinds of things that is radiated out when a black hole dies. Those kinds of black hole, when it is going to go on a death roll, because once the energy is left out, all the things are left out, they form what is called a lanthanide kind of spray coming out of it. And some of the things are like no active elements usually are there, okay. So when a black hole bursts, there is no, actually there is no active elements in there. So all the active elements are converted into what is called a lanthanide elements and ordinary elements. That is why the black holes burst, okay. So once they lose all the energy of coefficients and other things because of pressure and other things, pressure gradient and other things, they start producing other kinds of like lanthanide series, and from lanthanide series and other kinds of elements I already told you, like helium, photon, and other subatomic particles are all emitted, okay, once the sun burns out and things like that. And these lanthanide things, finally they break down and go into small pieces like dust in the, like some kind of dust out of the black hole, okay. So these are the things that you have to know. As when the sun goes down, what happens? When the entire sun goes down, what happens? What is remaining? What is the thing which comes out? These are the basic concepts you have to remember as far as space technology is concerned, or any kind of gamma ray decay and beta decay and alpha decay. So they're classified into three types of alpha decay, beta decay, and gamma decay. So these are the things. Alpha decay is supposed to do with helium. Helium is a high order element, hydrogen and next helium. So helium is the one which is a beta decay, usually supposed to do with electron. The electrons are thrown out and things like that. And gamma decay is supposed to be helium plus a photon kind of things. X-rays, gamma rays are all generated. So that is why it is called gamma decay, beta decay, and alpha decay. So there are three different kinds of decay that happens: alpha decay, beta decay, and gamma decay. Other kinds of decays are not usually present. So you usually have helium that is coming out. So that is why sun has got so much of helium around it. And similarly, it has got so much of electron produced and thrown, electrons are thrown out of things, okay. Then other than that, they give light also, light and gamma rays. Gamma rays, when they travel, they produce light and other, they give out high energy photons, okay. Gamma rays are nothing but high energy photons with higher energy level. And once these photons, they penetrate, once these gamma rays penetrate through space, they lose energy and give what are called photons. Photons is they give out light, and light travels and reaches our earth and other things, okay. Usually gamma rays cannot reach earth. Usually they usually stay in the surface of the things, but because of high energy level, some of them get concentration and other things. So usually the empty space is filled with what are called gamma rays, okay, helium and gamma rays, okay, and some of the electrons. So helium, electrons, and photons and gamma rays, these are the basic things which are emanated out of sun and a high order system. A sun usually is created because of, I told you about dark matter. Okay, dark matter is a special kind of group which is higher than this. Okay, once you go into black hole and other things, there are some other things like dark matter. Dark matter is still further than this, but they are not visible to naked eye and things like that. So these are the things which happen within our spectrum of sun and other things. That is why these things are all like you can see all these kind of elements like radioactive elements and other things. But dark matter is still further higher order elements of radioactive elements. That is why they are inside the black hole and things like that. Okay. So this is the basic interview or overview of what happens within the sun, what happens within a black hole, what happens within a kind of radioactive element, how radioactive elements work within the kind of environment you are in. So these are the basic things you have to remember. So you have to remember reactions of low order elements like hydrogen, helium, lithium, carbon, they are all using electron covalent bonds, electrovalent bond, and these kind of bonds are all involved in those things. Okay, but in radioactive elements these things are not active. Okay, these things are not present, they give only photons which when they emit they create the reactions in the higher order elements. Like if you want carbon to be formed, carbon and hydrogen bomb to be formed, okay, they need an electron. So what happens, a photon comes in and activates the bond between the hydrogen, carbon and hydrogen. So you have a methane or some other kinds of things formation. Okay, so they form electrovalent bond and covalent bond based on the kind of emissions that come out of the thing, like the radioactive element which gives out some of the electrons, free electrons into the orbit, and that transfers to the through the surface into our earth, and that comes in the form of light, and that light helps in creating life. Okay, like carbon forms, carbon creates methane, ethane, propane, and those kind of things are all because of sunlight energy, and that light energy gets reacted with other kinds of elements which are the low order elements. Okay, so how these entire structural phenomenon works, okay, that is the basic concept given out here. What are active elements, what are how those electrons bond, what are the electrovalent bonds, what are chemical bonds, and those kind of things are there. But we are specifically looking into radioactive elements and dark matter kind of things. Okay, dark matter is still there, but we don't know much of how much of dark matter is present within a black hole, and what kind of nature do they have, what kind of structures do they have, how they decay. Those kind of information is not available right now. But as for sun and other kinds of structures like decay of dark sun, we saw three different kinds of suns and other things. Okay, those are the things which going to give some of the stuff. Okay, so when you go into radioactive elements, radioactive elements, when you go into look into radioactive, you have to get the definition of the radioactive. What is radioactive elements? Some elements of atomic nuclei are unstable because of the presence of excess nuclear charge inside it. So these nuclei undergo radioactive decay to form stable nuclei. These elements are called radioactive elements. So these nuclei undergo radioactive decay. So they go into radioactive decay, form stable nuclei. These elements are called radioactive. So that is why the definition of radioactive. Some of the elements of atomic nuclei are unstable because of presence of excess nuclear charge. Okay, so when you have an excess nuclear charge, they are not called the active actinide series. Okay, they are very active elements, and these elements, when they decay, they give out what is called radioactive elements. What is radioactive? What is radioactive element? For example, uranium and thorium are two radioactive elements found naturally in the Earth's crust. Over billions of years, these two elements slowly change form and produce decay products such as radium and radon. During this process, energy is released. So, some of the Earth's crust and other things they produce inside. So, if we have Earth, okay, it doesn't necessarily that they absorb energy from the sun, but some of the radioactive elements itself within the earth they decay and form what are called uranium and thorium and things like that. Okay, so these are the things you have to know. So earth itself has got some kind of radioactive decay. What these kind of radioactive element decay, what do they present? They present what is called the magnetic field of the earth. So the first thing you have to know, the magnetic field and the electric fields of the earth are created only because of what is called the radioactive elements of the earth. Okay, don't think that you have the magnetic effect of earth because of sun or some other things. Okay, so basically the presence of uranium and thorium and highly radioactive elements create some kind of sun glowing. Similarly, the earth is also glowing. Okay, and because of that uranium and thorium present in the sun, you have what is called a some kind of aura around it, and they start spinning all those things. The earth starts spinning because of these radioactive elements present on the earth, and they start decaying and they start producing what is called a magnetic field and an electric. These electric fields they interact with the sun. That is why they are called gravity or electric. That is a form of gravity. Okay, so when uranium and thorium and produce some kind of magnetic field on the earth, these magnetic fields influence other magnetic fields on the other planets or other sun, and they form what is called a sphere of influence and things like that, and they form what is called a gravity. So the basic concept of gravity, where gravity comes in and how electric fields are produced, these are the basic concept of how radioactive elements and other things work as for things are concerned. So you have to know the chemical reactions, how these chemical reactions. So three types: alpha decay, beta decay, and gamma decay. So these are the three basic things of decay that happens, whether it is a planet or sun or satellite or any kind of asteroid and other things. Okay, that is all for today. Brief introduction on radioactive elements, what are dark matter and what can be dark matter. Those kind of things are just an introductory level of how the space works. Okay, that is all for today.